Welcome back to Beyond Wisdom, where we explore timeless truths for a more peaceful and meaningful life. Across cultures and centuries, one idea echoes again and again from the lips of sages, mystics, and philosophers, that true self-knowledge is impossible without one particular thing. It's not education. It's not introspection alone. It's something quieter, older, and far more difficult to measure. And yet, without it, the ancient world believed we live in illusion, strangers to ourselves. Today, in a world obsessed with self-improvement, this lost insight may be more important than ever. The words, "Know thyself," were carved into the entrance of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. People traveled from all over the ancient world to seek the wisdom of the oracle there. But those who truly paid attention understood that the command didn't end with introspection. Ancient Greek philosophers, especially Socrates and Plato, believed that self-knowledge was never achieved in isolation. It required dialogue, reflection with others, and honest encounters with the world. Socrates didn't retreat into solitude to discover truth. He walked the streets, asked difficult questions, and challenged assumptions face to face. He believed conversation revealed blind spots we could never find on our own. To know ourselves, we must engage with others who hold up a mirror, not to flatter, but to reflect. Without this mirror, self-perception becomes distorted. It's like trying to see your own eyes without a reflection. In African philosophy, particularly in the concept of ubuntu, there is a deep belief that a person becomes a person through other people. I am because we are is the essence of ubuntu. The idea that our identity is shaped in relationship. This is not about losing oneself in the group. Rather, it's about the understanding that we are revealed, layer by layer, through how we live among others. In solitude, you may feel peaceful, but it's only when you are challenged, misunderstood, or deeply connected that you begin to see the edges of who you truly are. The Zulu saying, "Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu," reminds us that selfhood is relational. Even our strengths and shadows come into focus only through contact. The wise ones knew this. Without others, we are incomplete. In the Stoic tradition, Marcus Aurelius often wrote about his frustrations with others, people who were selfish, arrogant, or irrational, and yet he repeatedly reminded himself that those very people were part of his training. They revealed where he was still reactive, impatient, or proud. He didn't believe in escaping from them. He believed they were necessary for virtue to emerge. "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change," he wrote. To the Stoics, the world is a kind of gymnasium for the soul, and difficult people? They are your weights. Without friction, there is no shaping. Without resistance, there is no growth. The person who angers you, embarrasses you, or challenges you, they are often your truest teachers. They show you the parts of yourself still unseen. In many indigenous cultures, self-understanding was never a private journey. It unfolded across years, in ceremonial moments and shared rites of passage. Among the Native American Lakota, for example, vision quests were not just solitary meditations. They were held within a sacred framework, guided by elders and witnessed by the community. The individual's insight was then woven back into the tribe's collective wisdom. Among the Maori of New Zealand, identity is not just personal, it is genealogical. To know yourself is to know your ancestors your stories, your lineage. I am the river, and the river is me, they say. Here, the self is not isolated, but inherited, embedded, and reflected in land, language, and people. The individual only becomes clear through their place in something larger. In such cultures, the idea of discovering yourself alone would be seen not just as difficult, but as incomplete. In ancient China, Confucius taught that character was not formed in theory, but in action, especially in how we treat others. He emphasized 5 core relationships: parent and child, ruler and subject, husband and wife, elder and younger, friend and friend. Each of these was seen as a testing ground for virtue: patience, respect, integrity, humility. You could not become truly good without these roles. In a Confucian view, your inner life is inseparable from your outer behavior. To know if you are truly kind, you must ask, how do you treat those who can do nothing for you? To know if you are wise, how do you handle criticism? Self-knowledge was not about gazing inward, but about refining yourself through how you live with others. The sage was not someone who withdrew from society, but one who lived in harmony with it. The modern world celebrates independence. We glorify self-made journeys and internal exploration. But ancient wisdom reminds us, the mirror of the self is incomplete without other mirrors. We cannot hear our own tone of voice. We cannot see how we show up to others unless they tell us. With honesty, patience, and love. The Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The next Buddha may not take the form of an individual. The next Buddha may take the form of a community." He meant that awakening, even self-awareness, may no longer be a solo path. Our understanding of ourselves deepens through connection, feedback, and the presence of people who see us clearly, especially when we cannot. In the Hindu tradition, the concept of darshan means to be seen, not just by others, but by the divine. Pilgrims journey to temples not only to see sacred images, but to be seen by them. This act of being seen, truly seen, is part of their transformation. It's a reminder that self-knowledge isn't always about thinking more or analyzing every emotion. Sometimes it's about being willing to be witnessed, just as you are. That kind of seeing, from another human being or from something greater, can awaken parts of us that introspection alone cannot. To be seen without judgment is a sacred moment, and sometimes it's the beginning of finally seeing ourselves. Ancient thinkers knew something we've forgotten in our age of self-help and endless journaling, that the journey within is not a solo trip. We are revealed, shaped, and refined in the presence of others, sometimes through love, sometimes through tension, sometimes simply by being seen. You don't have to agree with every person you encounter, but every encounter is an invitation to see more clearly, to respond more wisely, to meet yourself in a new way. The truth is, we cannot know ourselves without the world, because the world is where we live out who we really are. What's one relationship in your life that has taught you something real about yourself, even if it was hard to face? Share your story in the comments. Thanks for watching. If this video brought you value, subscribe to Beyond Wisdom. Until next time, stay calm, stay strong, and stay wise.